All right, good morning, guys. Dr. Angela and I can't see you, but I think you're all kind of coming in. Thanks for joining us this
Good
early
morning.
on a Tuesday morning.
Yes.
We're gonna just give you guys another couple of minutes to come on board. And we have such a fun, for those of you that have been doing Tuesday morning sessions with me, this is going to be a really special one, a little bit different than what we normally do, because we have Dr. Angela here with us today. And what I love about Dr. Angela is not only is she wicked smart, but she also really loves to stay on trend. So if there's ever a question that I have about something that's new, Dr.
I don't know
Angela
about that.
always knows what we're talking about. So she's a really great person to ask about because in medicine, especially when it comes to nutritional medicine and lifestyle medicine, this is now $1 billion industry.
Yes,
And
it's
everyone is
huge.
trying to make a buck. And everywhere you hear, there's some new trend or some new fad,
Mhm.
that are coming up. And sometimes we don't have the time for these things to be evidence based, but we thought it might be really fun for you guys to listen in on us and talk to you about kind of our opinions and what
Mhm.
we're hearing about some of these new trends that are coming out.
Well, and if you see all over TikTok and Instagram, everybody's love it or leave it on this supplement or
Yeah.
this different practice. So we wanted to kind of hit on some of the things that were more evidence-based and not just overall fads.
So we're going to
Yeah.
do our love it and leave it for you. And
Yes.
we might not always agree on things either.
Yeah.
So you
Well,
might
we
get
may
one of
not.
us tell you one thing and one of us tell you another. So you want to get started?
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about these are some of the things that we came up with. Actually, just sitting here talking, you guys, we came up with a couple of other things. So
Mhm.
we might go off script just a little bit. But let's talk about the first thing, strength training.
We love it. We
Yes,
love it,
that
love
is a
it, love
love it,
it,
love
love
it,
it.
love it. And why do we love it so
We
much?
love it because the end game, when you're playing the long game and what you want to do when you're 90 or 100 is get up off the couch without having to use your hands. We don't want to be walking around with our walkers and our canes. We want to have strength and we want to prevent falls. And that is the thing that's going to take most people out later on in life is weakness and sarcopenia, which means that you lose your muscle.
Muscle. Yeah.
And we lose muscle so quickly as we age. Every decade, we lose
Mhm.
more and more muscle. And you have to work extra, extra hard to kind of keep that from happening.
And you're right. As the older we get, the more important it is that we have
Hmm.
strength and muscle tone. And
Hmm.
unfortunately, the older we get, the less we
Less we
think
have.
about working out. Yeah. And so I see a lot of people that are like, I do a walk every day, which is fantastic.
Hmm.
You're getting grounded, you're getting outside, you're getting aerobic exercise that mobilizes fat. But then you've got to add in something that is more for strength.
Yeah, we got to get the weight training
And so we've
going.
got to get the weight training going. Angela does a phenomenal job with this. Dr. Angela, what are you doing for weight training right now?
Well, weight training's hard for me. It's very foreign. I've
Hmm.
been one of those people that would just go out and run. That was my cardio. That's all I wanted to do.
Hmm.
And then I listened to a podcast with Dr. Peter Attia and Dr. Stacy Sims. And if you want to listen to this, it's really great. It's on the Drive podcast with Dr. Attia. And it's Dr. Stacy Sims. She trains a lot of the Olympic athletes,
Hmm.
but she really talks about how women over 40 should train.
Hmm.
And I listened to that and thought, oh my gosh, I'm doing absolutely everything wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm very intimidated by gyms. I don't know if you guys go to the gym and you see everybody sitting on their, exercise equipment and they're videotaping themselves and they're all pumped and swole. And I'm sitting there going, okay, I'm 53 years old. I
Right?
don't know what I'm doing on these machines. So I started out, I'm a real toe dipper.
Hmm.
So I was very intimidated. I started out at a place called the Exercise Coach,
Hmm.
and they do static resistance training.
Hmm.
So you go in and you are going to work on a machine, and you're going to push against a weight or pull against a weight. It's
And
all
then
of the
very
usual.
slowly come back,
You
right?
don't
So
even
it's
move. You
you
don't
just
even
static
move.
and
So
you're just
you
there.
can't hurt yourself. And I had a
Hmm.
shoulder injury, so I was like, "Ooh, I don't want to go to just a trainer at LA Fitness because are they going to know what they're doing?"
Yeah.
So it's very controlled. They watch you very closely. And then once I started doing that, I felt more comfortable. It's only 20 minutes twice a week, which is really, I saw some big gains. I
Okay.
did an in body
Yes.
before, and then I did an in body after, and then I really focused on the
Hmm.
protein intake and some of the supplements. And I did see a like 3 or 4 pound muscle gain, which was really great.
Yeah.
And then now I've kind of graduated to actually doing a little bit more with a trainer, but that was less intimidating to me. And I think that's a good way to start is maybe some of the machines where you're not doing a lot of like repetitive things.
And I have to admit, I cheated just a little bit when I started to work on this because I really got very busy and did not do a lot of that. And I was the same way. I was always taught aerobic exercise. That's the way
Mhm,
that you go.
mhm,
And so we have a machine here called the M Sculpt that actually is very muscle activating.
mhm,
And I did when I did the M Sculpt, specifically the core and my obliques. I felt stronger. And as I felt stronger, I felt like I could get in and had a little bit more confidence
mhm.
when I was doing some of those other things. And so I need to get back on that because it's been a couple of probably almost a year since I've done it, but I just remember feeling so much better. And
Mhm.
just and it is so nice when you can just like get up and go.
And once you
And
start doing it, don't you feel like it makes you want to keep doing it?
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And when we talk about evidence-based guys and we're talking about longevity,
Mhm,
like getting bigger or more muscle tone, there is no doubt that increases longevity
mhm.
for us. So if you want to live longer and stronger, grow muscle, but don't forget the aerobic exercise is
It's important
important
still.
because you still want to mobilize fat. So for me, mobilizing fat and reducing inflammation is what you get when you're doing more of that aerobic exercise
Mhm.
and then really gaining muscle and increasing longevity. And so, talk a little bit about HIIT training.
Okay, so
Well,
HIIT
let
training.
me interrupt. I have a quick question for you since we're still on like weights and strength training. Somebody asked about what should they start with outside of a gym? What are your recommendations for getting some
Oh,
strength
what do you
training
think
outside?
about some of the YouTube videos that they
Yeah, yeah.
have with some light hand weights? I would start with low weights for
You know
sure.
what? Like, if you are intimidated by even by that, start with just doing some push-ups, some crunches, some,
Mhm, body weight stuff.
just yeah,
Mhm,
just kind of use your own resistance as you go. You can use athletic trainers, personal trainers. They're so good anymore to
mhm,
be able to kind of help you where you're supposed to be. And then I would agree, start to go to some small weights and then go to the machines. Like the machines are, they tell you that the
mhm.
machines are where the change really happens. And there are so many places like the Exercise Coach. There's one called Exercise Inc.
Ink.
There's
Mhm.
I've never been there before, but there's a Prevent Osteoporosis place in
Osteo
Westfield.
strong is what
Osteo
it's called.
Strong. There's
Mhm,
like all kinds of places like that. But I honestly think like even like getting into some place like a Jazzercise, things like that,
mhm.
you'd be shocked at how much strength training they
You can
do
do.
in those types of places blended with the aerobic exercise.
Well, and they also, if you go just onto YouTube,
Mhm.
they have some chair exercises that you can start with. So if you don't feel comfortable, like, getting up, actually lifting weights, you can
Mhm.
sit in chair yoga. You can
Mhm.
start with that, but you can also do some weight training, some resistance bands, those kind of things on
I think the bottom line is just put one
just
foot in
in
front of
front of
the
the
other
other.
and just start doing
What do
something.
you think about weighted vests too? Like as long as you don't have any type of back
Yes,
injuries.
because I've sometimes have had patients come back and they've hurt themselves.
Mhm,
And I think, to be honest with you, any kind of strength training, especially our guys, because they don't go from zero, very slowly up to 100. They start at 60 and
yeah.
go to 200. And so just be careful that you're not hurting yourself, that you're
Mhm.
getting strong enough to support the weight that you
Yeah,
have.
start very slow.
But yeah, I think the
Mhm.
weighted vests are such a cool thing because then you can get in your
Yeah,
time
you
when you're
can walk.
walking, biking,
Mhm.
running. You can go ahead and get it. Just make sure that your back is strong and that you're using really good posture.
I have a patient who does all of her like house cleaning, her laundry. She just puts on her weighted vest in the
Mhm,
morning on her, chore day.
mhm.
And she's had some significant gains on her in body.
And then they've got the ones where you can actually put your
Your
weights on your
wrist.
ankles and your wrists, and you
Mhm,
can even just wear them throughout your day.
mhm,
And so, which I think is super cool. Use your body as a guide. Make sure that you're not getting hurt. But as you get stronger, make sure that you keep following that and keep pushing yourself a little bit
mhm,
more, a little bit more, a little bit more.
mhm.
All right. So, cardio. We talked about this a little bit.
Yes.
Let's talk about HIIT training because that's right now. I think that that's what's shown to be the most effective form of exercise
Mhm,
for the mitochondria, for the body, for longevity, for all of that stuff. So,
mhm.
what is HIIT training?
HIIT training is when you're going to do something that really gets your heart rate up fast. So you're going to do maybe a sprint or you're going to get on the bicycle and you're just going to go as hard as you can for only 30 seconds. And then you're going to take a really nice rest period where you're going to let your heart rate recover. You maybe will take 2 or 3 minutes.
Mhm.
And so the point is you're getting your heart rate up and down and up and down
Mhm.
instead of doing some of that just zone 2 training where you're going to go out and run 5 miles, which is
Mhm.
okay if you're younger, but once you hit 40, it's probably better to kind of get that heart rate up and down
Mhm.
and give yourself a really nice recovery in the middle.
One of my friends invited me to go to the cycle bar that's over there at West Clay.
Mhm.
And I'll tell you what, it like kind of kicked my butt.
Oh,
I mean,
yes.
it was intense, and you're just riding the bike, and they do that where you're just going hard, and then you're slowing down. You're going hard, and you're slowing down, and then they
Mhm.
do a weight section, and then they end the entire thing with yoga. It was really fun.
Mhm.
And so, and she is addicted to it. Like she is there all the time
Mhm.
and looks great. And so find the thing that works the best for you.
Mhm.
If you hate getting on an exercise bike, don't do that.
Mhm.
If you love dancing, go do that. You can find places where you can get this kind of exercise doing something that you still really love. And then like I said, YouTube is fantastic.
Yeah, or just you can do silly stuff. You can dance in your kitchen, turn the, radio on and dance hard for 30 seconds and
Yeah.
then just kind of, move around. Jumping jacks, you can jump
Mhm.
on your stairs. You can do all kinds of,
Yeah.
run up and down your stairs
Mhm.
once or something.
Yep. But the
Yeah.
Mhm.
I was just going to add to the idea of try different things. We don't recommend any particular program or anything, but there is something called Class Pass, which you can subscribe to, and then you can take classes at various facilities and find the exercise or the yoga or the strength training or the whatever that you like. So something like Class Pass is a great way to find and discover the classes and the exercise
By the
regimen
way,
that works best for
they
you.
just go to like class
It's
pass.
It's called Class Pass, yeah. And so it is a subscription, but you get a certain number of passes per whatever you sign up for per week, per month, or whatever. And then you can use that pass at all sorts of different locations. And then that way, if you find, the gym that you love, then you would no longer need Class Pass and you would just sign up at that gym. But it's a good way to try a bunch of different
Different
things.
places.
What a great
Yes,
idea.
that's great.
Yeah, I think
And then
that's
there's
so
the
cool.
Monon here in Carmel. And
Yeah.
then what's the prime? Is it Prime Life?
Oh, okay, yeah. So the senior center, I
Senior
think if
centers.
you're over the age of 54, there's a senior center here in Carmel called Prime Life Enrichment.
Mhm.
And it is fantastic. It's got a heated pool. They do dance classes in there. They do chair yoga. They do fitness. I just think it's a great thing. It's really made a huge difference for my mom, who now goes in and gets so much more exercise. And she was never someone that exercised as I was younger. And honestly, exercising with fellowship is such a big deal.
Yes.
It's not on here, but I think it's not trendy, you guys. This has been around since the beginning of time, but fellowship and community is kind of the bomb. Like that is like all the things that we're trying to accomplish. So
When I think the accountability thing, and that's what's really hard is to stick with it. Like I'll
yeah.
do anything for a week and feel great about it. And then I'm like, oh, well, now I'm too tired. So I think finding an accountability partner, you can even use us as your accountability partner. You can say, hey, listen, I want to set up a appointment in 6 weeks and I want you to double check whether or not I'm
And I want you
doing
to do an
this.
in-body so that I can see like what's happening with my weight, right? Because weight loss is the one thing that is so off trend to me anymore. Like in the past 7 years, just whenever patients come in and they're like, "Oh, I'm gaining weight, I'm losing weight," I'm like, "What does that mean?" Like, because gaining weight or losing weight just almost is it's negligible for me because are you losing fat? Are you losing fat around your belly and are you gaining muscle? This is where like longevity and health really retain.
And remember, your muscle burns calories.
Yeah.
So the more muscle you put on, the more you're going to burn.
That's the reason why when you're in a negative downtrend and you're gaining more fat, you're losing more muscle, it feels like you can never get where you want to be. But as soon as again, one foot right in front of the other, we're going to talk about all kinds of things today, but the important thing is just to do something, right? And then figure out the something that works best for you. But as you start to do something and you're feeling better, then you'll want to do more something and then more and then more. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, why didn't I do this all along?
And I always tell people too, you don't have to do 30 minutes at one time. You can do 5 minutes here and there. And if you get tired out easily, literally start with 2 minutes. Maybe if you're watching TV, there's a commercial break or an advertisement break, I mean, do a couple minutes, put your weights there on the coffee table and do a couple reps and then you're done.
Gosh,
You can
I remember when
restart
the
again.
kids were little, every time we would watch one of their shows and a commercial would come on, we'd run
We'd
around the
and
house
get up and
just
like
to
do a
get
little
their
exercise at the
energy
commercial.
out. Yeah, I miss those
That
days.
still
but-
works.
I
Like I
know,
have
right?
weights on my coffee table, and if I'm
Yeah.
watching something, I'm like, I'll sit there and stare at them and think, oh my gosh, I really got to get up and do this. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
then I just do
Let's
that.
all do that. If we're ever watching a show or doing something like that, reading a book, at the end of every chapter, let's pick
Yeah,
up our
let's
weights.
pick up
Let's
weights,
just go
just do
run
it.
around the house and then come back 2
Oh,
minutes.
People might be watching.
love
don't
it.
know. We might look silly. It's okay. We're getting our exercise.
Okay, so intermittent fasting. This is one where Dr. Angela and I might disagree about a little bit. So what's your take on intermittent fasting?
So I love a 12-hour fast for
Okay,
people.
me too,
That's
yeah.
the one thing I think we definitely agree
12 to
on.
14 hours is
Mhm.
okay with me.
Because I think once you eat dinner, you got to stop. You
Yeah.
can't have anything
Mhm.
until the morning. You got to give your time. It's not good for your digestion. It's not good to sleep when you've got a lot of, food on your stomach. It's going to cause reflux. It's going to cause poor sleep.
And remember, your liver is most active at
Mhm, at
nighttime
night.
when you're
It's
sleeping.
gonna
Your
detox.
brain detoxes, your liver detoxes, your body detoxes. That's when you're most resilient. So if your brain and your body are too busy trying to digest food, then
Mhm.
you're losing that capacity for restoration.
Mhm.
And so Dr. Perlmutter says, like, eat dinner. Now, this man eats dinner like at 4:30, and then he says, go brush your teeth right after dinner and floss,
Mhm.
because I would be too lazy to have to go brush my teeth again. So
Again,
then I
yeah.
wouldn't eat. It's a nice
It's a
little
good
trick.
strategy.
I
Yeah.
don't get home sometimes until 7:30. So
Yes.
that's a little bit tougher for me, but I think we both agree, eat dinner and then don't eat again,
Mhm.
if at all possible. No more midnight snacking. Where I worry about the really long intermittent fasting, like the people that are wanting to go 16 to 17 hours, which by the way, has evidence to show better mitochondrial health, better
Mhm.
detoxification, weight loss, and everything else, but for the fact that if you're adrenally stressed.
Yes.
And I think, remember, when your body is adrenally stressed, your body is being chased after by a bear. And it says, hey, if you are starving, I am supposed to hold fat, right?
Mhm,
So
mhm.
you go into fat storage mode. And so if you're adrenally stressed, which I feel like everyone is adrenally stressed. And that's my problem with intermittent fasting for the
Mhm.
masses,
Mhm.
is if you're adrenally stressed and you go 16 hours, you are going to gain visceral fat, because your
Mhm.
body is going to say, I told you you're starving, and I
Mhm.
told you you're being chased after by a bear. So I would say for those patients specifically, I mean, for me, if you're adrenally stressed out, go have a really good breakfast in the morning. I think you need the protein. I think you need the nourishment to
Mhm.
try to get through the
started.
day.
And if you're hungry in the morning, like you wake up and
Mhm.
you're starving, eat. Like you don't have to,
Mhm.
make yourself miserable. But some people wake up and they're like, I'm not really hungry. Well, then maybe you could wait until 11 a.m. and eat your first meal, but always start with protein.
Yeah, always. Yeah, because I do agree with how you break your fast is really important.
Mhm.
And so I think that you've got to break your fast with healthy fats, healthy protein, vegetables.
Mhm.
And if you're breaking your fast with sugar, then you're starting your day in a sugar up, down,
Mhm.
right?
And you're-
Sugar,
Mhm.
when you're eating something that's a refined starch or carb or something that's sweet, then your sugar goes up, and what goes up must come down. And you're following this yo-yo of a
Mhm.
sugar up and down. And remember, you'll gain fat if your sugar is too high or too low. And so, and that's that trend, is if your sugar is too low, the body says, I told you you're starving, I need to store fat. And if your
Mhm.
sugar is too high, it says, you've got a lot of excess calories, I might need those one day, I'll store those away.
Mhm.
And so you
Ladies,
want,
I have some questions about intermittent fasting when you're ready.
Sure.
One patient asked, while fasting, is it okay to have a cup of coffee with MCT oil, collagen, half and half creamer?
I think there's a lot of controversy over whether or not that's actually breaking your fast. or
yeah,
not.
I think so too.
I don't know, to be honest. Like I've heard both ways. Like I've heard no,
have
you
too.
can't do it, but then I've heard yes, it's fine because you're not doing anything with sugar.
Gut instinct is it's the creamer and the sugar.
Yeah.
And even the
But I don't
half-
think, yeah, if you're doing
Yeah.
MCT or you're just doing something
like a
without,
black
then you're
coffee,
probably
yeah.
okay.
But I will tell you, there was a study that I read, a tiny one, that said that if you actually break your fast with tea
Mhm.
instead of coffee, that you can get actually better trend with that. And so, but that one didn't use MCTs. And there's some evidence that shows that starting out your day with those healthy fats can really help. MCTs, for those of you that don't know, are called medium chain triglycerides. And honestly, sometimes people just use like ghee or, you know, an
Mhm.
organic butter
The
or
butter
something like
coffee
that.
people
Yeah.
make, yeah.
Yeah. And so, but there is some evidence to that. If I can, I love starting out my day with just some eggs and some veggies thrown in from dinner before. Like
Mhm.
that's the way that I would like to. On occasion, I definitely don't do that and I have coffee. And I don't expect it to feel as good when I
When
do
you
this.
do
Yeah,
that.
it feels
Mhm.
good when I'm drinking my coffee, you know, of course, but through the day, I do feel a little bit worse versus if I can just start the day. I think Michael Pollan said it the best when he said, eat breakfast like a king and dinner like a pauper.
Mhm.
I think we're supposed to be morning fed and then as the day goes down. But as Americans, we tend to skip breakfast and then we eat really big dinners and then we go to bed like
Mhm.
right after.
Mhm.
And so, as much as you can, try to really start that first meal. Whole foods, really healthy things. One of my tricks is if I'm cooking dinner and I'm already chopping up veggies, chop up some more veggies and leave them in and just throw them into your eggs
Mhm.
or throw them into your smoothie the next day.
Mhm.
So you mentioned being adrenally stressed when you were talking about intermittent fasting and who should not do it. How do you know if you're adrenally stressed?
Okay, so your blood work will tell you, but here's the trick. If you're crashing at about 2 or 3 in the afternoon, or you're wanting to go get some coffee or something to eat right about then, you're adrenally stressed. I feel like Jeff Foxworthy. Like if you're this, then you know you're
Yeah.
like you're right, you're adrenally stressed. If you can't sleep when you lay down, like you
Mhm.
go to bed and then you're wired,
Mhm.
you're probably adrenally fatigued.
Mhm.
If you feel like, man, I've got all this energy and I can get everything done, but I don't know where my car keys are, you're probably adrenally fatigued. These are
Mhm.
different stages and phases of adrenal
Mhm.
fatigue.
I always call it wired and tired. Like if
Mhm.
you're feeling like you're constantly, but you're exhausted at the same time,
Mhm.
that's probably adrenal fatigue.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, we're there more than you think, specifically coming into the holiday season.
Mhm.
Oh, and the other thing is if you're not digesting your food well. So if you eat food and about an hour later, you're starting to feel kind of that bloat and that gassiness, it's likely because you're being chased after by a bear and your body says, who cares about digesting food?
Mhm.
And then unfortunately, the inability to digest food will lead you into more adrenal fatigue.
Mhm.
So you can take things like digestive enzymes when your body is more stressed, you know, just take a little bit of time to just be meditative and just understand what you're doing. When even though you're wired, make sure that you're sleeping. That's one of the best things that you can do.
Mhm.
And then really get that good mindfulness going or whatever you can do to kind of
Mhm.
help let it go. That's what I've been saying
Yeah.
all week long.
So for intermittent fasting, last quick question is what about kids? Should they also be going 12 hours and then breaking fast with protein, particularly
12
teenagers?
hours, I think, is very
That's good.
effective for kids, unless they were like my kids, where I had a gymnast that was a pretty competitive gymnast, and his practices would be after school, and he wouldn't get done until 9:30. And so, when he was doing like active things,
Mhm.
he had to
Need to
eat when he got
eat.
home. Yeah.
Right.
So just remember, like for kids, they're growing, they need
They
the
need
nourishment.
nutrients.
And honestly, so do we. Like nourishment is always the key. Nourishment will always be on trend, you guys. That is not something that will ever be
Mhm.
trendy or you know what I mean, or
Mhm.
clicking. And so just remember in that way. But yeah, I think the kids, as a matter of fact, one of the things that when parents bring their young kids in to see me and they're like, he's, you know, wetting the bed or just will not sleep at nighttime, I'll be like, what are you doing at night? And the number of times I hear like parents say, oh, we just have a little ice cream treat right before bedtime,
Oh, yeah.
or you know what I mean, or we're just doing like a little like food-based things right before bedtime. And
Mhm.
remember, what goes up sugar-wise must come
Mhm.
down. And what happens is that these kids, their sugar goes up, and then at about 2 o'clock in the morning, they crash hard, and the body wakes them up
Mhm.
because it feels like they're starving. And so, one of the only things that we do, we get them pooping, give them some magnesium, and we tell them not to eat after usually about 7, if at all possible. And it's amazing how kids sleep through the night.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
I do think that, yeah, for kids, definitely do the 12. Be careful with doing the 16, 17s. I
They
think
need
that's
they need
inappropriate. Yeah.
their nourishment. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about the sauna,
Oh, yes.
which is one of
We
my
love the
favorite
sauna.
places on
Yes.
earth. And so we both say love it.
Yeah,
for
love it. Love
sauna.
the
Yeah.
sauna.
So there are different kinds of saunas. Dr. Angela, what are the benefits of a steam sauna versus an
So
infrared
you have
sauna?
the dry sauna, which is like your, traditional sauna. They used to, throw the water over
Mhm,
the rocks and everything. That's going to heat up really fast. It's not going to heat you up from the inside out. It's going to heat you up from the outside in. You're going to sweat a lot. You're going to detox.
Yeah.
So you're
There's
definitely
some
getting
benefit
benefit
there.
from that, because anytime you're detoxing, that's good.
Mhm,
I remember I went to a lecture with Terry Walls, who
mhm.
is a family practice doctor who basically kind of
She's
healed
kind of our
herself of
idol. Yeah.
MS. So she's amazing. You can Google her. She's great. But she would talk about her patients, and, if you can't afford going to a sauna,
Mhm.
what do you do? So she would tell her patients, go sit in the car
Yeah.
on a hot
I
day.
love that.
You take 2 gallons of water with you, and I want you to sit it there and
Yeah.
sweat it out
Mhm.
and turn on Taylor Swift and just sweat it out in there. Chug your water, and which is a great way. But
Yeah.
anytime you're detoxing, but then there's the infrared sauna, which is
Which
going to heat you from the inside
I love,
out.
and you won't sweat as much, guys, in an infrared sauna, but an
Mhm.
infrared sauna like the one that we have at Be Well that you're all welcome to come and do. And you guys, our sauna is big enough to sit 4 people pretty comfortably.
Mhm.
Bring a friend to do it. But our infrared sauna uses both all three near, mid, and far infrared rays.
Mhm.
And there are different protocols that you can put in, like weight loss, anti-aging, detox, and it literally does sort of like go through the body, and it really does get to those organs without you sweating a lot.
Mhm.
Now, if you really want to sweat with one of our programs, there's a program that we have called cardio, and it is my favorite. You will be dripping sweat with cardio. And so just put a towel down. And one of the things that we really love is when you've got that great heat going on, it relaxes your muscles. It's a wonderful place for you to either exercise or at least
Do
stretch.
some stretching.
It was one of
Mhm.
the reasons that we got a sauna that was big enough. Now I can be in there and stretch basically fully. Be careful if you're a taller guy or
Mhm.
whatever, not to hurt yourself in there. But it's a wonderful, wonderful place to go. And again, the longevity has been pretty. It's been shown to have really amazing things. Now,
Mhm.
the more you sauna, the better it
The
is for
better
your
it
health.
is. Yeah.
And so, and I literally built a practice with a sauna in it, and I don't get into it as often as I should. But I like my goal is like at the end of seeing patients, I should really go into that sauna every day. But like if you can even use the sauna a couple times a week,
Yeah, I think like 20 minutes, like 4 times a week
mhm,
is probably,
yeah.
I mean, there's probably a bunch of different opinions about how much to
Yeah,
do, but
like literally has been shown to reduce all cause mortality.
Mhm.
Like that is a phenomenal thing because it does affect so many of the systems that are in the body.
Mhm.
It's one of the reasons why versus doing just like single session saunas, we did sauna memberships because then for those people that really want that, you can kind of come in and do it more often.
Mhm.
And it is I feel really good after I do a sauna.
I don't know what you think about this, but like some of the people who are on a detox protocol,
Yeah.
it's a great idea to
Mhm.
do, like if you're doing maybe a push catch protocol,
Yep.
you would do your push before you got in the sauna and then your catch about 30 minutes later,
Yeah.
and you're going to detox all that out too.
I honestly don't even know if it has to be that
It doesn't
tight,
have to be
right?
at that
Like
time,
it would
but
be cool to do it that way, but if you're doing any detox, by the way, this is a Swathi detox rule.
Mhm.
Dr. Angela, let me know if you agree. You are not allowed to detox in my practice unless you are
Unless you're
sleeping well, pooping well, and sweating well.
Mhm.
Because what happens when you mobilize toxins if you can't get them out? That is a big, big deal for me.
Mhm.
And a lot of practices will start out with a detox. There's people that are pooping once a week.
Mhm.
And I'm like, no, 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 you have to be doing all those things. So I do tell people to come and do a sauna if I'm doing detoxing because
Mhm.
it gives them the sweat. The other thing is that, and this is a no-go for me, you have to shower here if you're going to do the sauna.
Mhm.
Because I feel like you sweat out a lot of the toxins and
Get those
you have
off.
to get it off. And I have people that are like, but I live 5 minutes away. And I'm like, yeah, I don't care. Because by the time you're done with the 5 minutes, all of that sweat is off of your system. And so, and you do like, you've got to wash your scalp, you've got to wash your body. We have beautiful products in our shower.
Mhm. Oh,
And so just
yes.
make
They
sure that
smell
you do that.
amazing.
But cardioprotective, anti-inflammatory,
Mhm.
and I don't know how much of it is the placebo effect that there's 2 doors between me and the world. And
Mhm.
it does really allow me the chance to truly relax and
Mhm.
unwind.
Mhm.
There's got to be a benefit there. You know what I mean?
I have a couple of questions for you ladies about the sauna. One is about sauna safety, especially if your blood pressure is running a little bit high, and should you check the blood pressure before you do your sauna?
We do here at Be Well, and to be honest with you guys, the sauna, I worry a little bit more if your blood pressure is
Too
too
low.
low.
Mhm.
And so I know that sounds crazy, but think about what happens when you sweat out. When you're sweating, you sweat out minerals. And when you sweat out minerals, your blood pressure is going to go down because you need those minerals in order to keep that pressure up. And so what I don't want is someone getting so dizzy and lightheaded that they're going to pass out in the sauna.
Mhm.
And so as long as your blood pressure isn't like crazy high, like, 180, 200s over something.
Mhm.
Even if you're like in the 140s, we're not going to
Okay,
have any
okay.
problem with you going
But
in.
make sure you're drinking enough water too. You really need to super hydrate if
Yeah.
you're going to be sweating out.
You should really be hydrating before
Before
and
and
after. And I don't know if you've noticed, but here in the last year, we started carrying things like Ultima and Element or Elementi, however you say it. We're doing those because particularly people that tend to run low need to replenish those minerals. And so you can choose your flavor and grab one of those things and add it to your water and just be drinking that even while you're in the sauna.
I would be careful if you do have really high blood pressure or you're being treated for high blood pressure. I would stick with the Ultima
Yeah.
and not the Element because there's the much higher sodium content in the Element. But if you're a young person and you're going out to exercise or run a couple miles, like the Element is great.
So here's the trick, guys. For those of you that have like more PLATS type stuff where you get more orthostatic and your blood pressure is too low, the Element
The
is a
Element is
fantastic
great.
thing for you because it's
Mhm.
got more sodium in it.
Mhm.
If your blood pressures are, at baseline high 120s, 130s, and then you get up higher, do the
Do the
Ultima
Ultima.
because it's got the
A little bit
minerals
lower.
without the sodium. Yeah. And so that's
So
kind of a good way to go.
yeah, you mentioned push catch as a detox, and people are asking what that is.
It's one of the supplement detoxes that we have. We have a couple of different, like sort of almost you can do them on your own detoxes. We have one called Core Restore that basically gives you a diet. It's a 7 to 14 day. You can choose what you want, sort of a package that has got a protein shake. It's got a diet that you follow. It's got all the supplements that you need as long as you're eating, sleeping, and pooping well. And then there's another protocol that we love called a push catch that basically what it does is there's two supplements in the packet. One is called liver sauce, and the liver sauce is basically, I hate the name of that
Yeah, it sounds
supplement,
really
but
good.
it sounds really gross. But basically, what it's doing is opening up your liver pathway so that toxins can flow through. And then exactly a half hour later, it's going to give you, it's a binder that you take. It's a charcoal binder that you put into water, and it literally is going to catch.
It's gonna pull all those
pull
toxins
all
out
those
into your
toxins
body
and allow you to
and
get
allow
rid
you
of
to get
them.
rid of it.
And so these are things that we oftentimes recommend when we're doing detoxes and we want a little bit more supplemental. I will tell you one of my favorite times is coming up though, is if you want to detox with me, please, please, please join us for our Renew You program. It is so much fun. It's 8 weeks. It's intense, don't get me wrong, but we meet pretty much every other week or every week. And it's an 8 week long program called Renew You. And it's kind of our own supplements that we've put together. And we have really great success with it.
People love it and they lose a lot of visceral fat doing it. They feel good and it kind of just gets you back on track after the holidays.
Yes, we usually start it like third week in January, because that's when we've all set our resolutions. And so it's a really good time.
We've set our resolutions and we've already failed by the third week in January. If you're me, you've already like given up on it. So maybe you'll get back in.
Yeah, it is really fun. And it's actually a time when I do it with you. And last year, I think we had 55 people go through it. It was just really fun.
My patients love doing that program.
All right. So, okay, omega-3
Omega-3s, we love it.
supplementations, love it.
Love it. We're
Yeah,
giving
and we've loved it forever. But the kind of fish oil that you get is really important.
Yes.
Because our oceans are not
Polluted.
they are kind of nasty places. So please, please, please be careful. This is one of those things that I'll tell you, just come and get the fish oils from here.
I've tried every fish oil. Before I started here, I've tried every single one. This is the one that is by far the best.
And people always ask, like, why do you choose the supplements that you choose? And it's not because some company gave us a great spiel. It's because we see changes in inflammation, in pain, in, all of those types of things, even mental clarity. when people take these supplements, we see changes in blood work,
Mhm.
and very predictably so.
Oh, yeah. How many times do you see someone's triglycerides go down dramatically when they
Mhm.
start fish oil? Their inflammation markers, specifically their HSCRP comes
Yes.
down.
Yeah.
Their joints feel better. Their brain feels more alive
Yeah.
and just kind of on point.
Well, sometimes you're like, oh, Swathi, I ran out of supplements and stopped taking them for a little bit. I just don't feel good, but I can't put my finger on what. And
Mhm.
that's what some of these, like those foundational pack supplements that we talked to you guys about, fish oil, magnesium,
Magnesium,
probiotics, and
probiotics.
K2 plus D.
Mhm.
That's what they do. They're not these like massive changes.
No.
But when I take my fish oil, my knees don't like kind of pop when I'm going down the stairs. Like I can tell just little things like
Mhm.
that. But yeah, fish oils, and they are DHA and EPA. I'm not
Mhm.
going to try to say the full things because I'm going to embarrass myself a little bit. But because they show reduction in brain inflammation and vascular inflammation, they've been linked to longevity, they've been linked to anti-aging.
Mhm.
But for me, it's not even about like helping you live longer, it's about helping you live stronger
Mhm.
and with less inflammation.
Now, those capsules are really big. What do you
Mhm.
suggest for people who have trouble with swallowing that big of a
Okay,
capsule?
you guys every single time I say this to someone, you can bite those fish oils. Do not do that with any other fish oil but the fish oil that
That
is
we
the
have
Be
here.
Well one, because they will be disgusting. But you literally can just bite them and they taste like olive oil with a little bit of a lemony
Mhm.
aftertaste.
I have people squeeze them into their smoothies
Yeah, or
sometimes.
you can even put them like into applesauce.
Mhm.
Just be careful that you're not putting it into water because omega-3s are a fat.
Mhm.
And so what happens when you add oil to water? They don't mix
They don't
very
mix.
well. And so you can just pop them like with a little needle and just squeeze that out and then eat them that way.
Mhm.
One of the tricks that we tell people is you can freeze them.
Yes.
And if you freeze them, they, for whatever purpose, they're just easier to swallow and get down.
Mhm.
Say that probably about 90% of our patients have no problem with
And
our fish oil.
I don't have patients
Yeah.
getting the fish burps with
No.
ours, but when you do freeze it, like, it's going to be frozen when it's in your stomach. So by the time it thaws, you're going to be in the small intestine. You're not going to be burping that up.
Yeah, exactly right. And so, but those people that do, if you just pop them open, that makes a big difference.
Mhm.
And we have another a precursor to omega-3s called SPM Active.
SPMs. Mhm.
And typically for my patients that are even a little bit inflamed, I'll tell them to take 4 fish oil a day.
Mhm.
And what I've been doing with a lot of my patients is having them do 2 omega-3s
Mhm.
and 2
Two
SPM actives.
SPMs.
And actually, it's been fantastic. And SPMs are smaller.
They're
And so
little.
they're just a little easier to take. And so I've actually been doing that for myself lately.
Mhm.
And I do feel really good on them. And
Mhm.
so I haven't checked my CRP. So we'll have to see where that goes. But yeah, we're a big yes, as long as they're good fish oil.
Yes.
And I don't
Good
know.
quality. I would not be getting the CVS brand fish oil
Oh my
or
gosh.
the, Walgreens, just because we don't really, we're
Honestly,
using,
you guys,
pharmaceutical grade.
we now have, I think, about 20 different supplement companies that we're purchasing supplements from.
Mhm.
Even those companies' fish oil we won't use
Mhm.
because it doesn't work as effectively as the ones that we use.
Mhm.
And every drug rep comes in and they try to sell me their fish oil, don't they?
Mhm.
Like every time we come in and they even their data tracks that they're using their new fish oil, these companies, with the ones that we use. That's who they're comparing themselves
Mhm.
to. So I feel like it's the gold standard and it's something that we really love
Mhm.
here in our
Mhm.
office. Is there any time when you shouldn't take fish oil?
You might be careful if you have if you have some sort of a bleeding dyscrasia, some
Mhm.
sort of bleeding disorder, that's not, you would want to check with your hematologist first.
Yes.
If you've had some sort of a brain bleed or some sort of a history like that, there's a little controversy on like if you're on a blood thinner, whether
Yeah.
or not you should take fish oil.
Yeah.
I don't believe that the studies actually prove that there's bleeding tendencies, but if you feel uncomfortable with it, you might be.
Do you think that our fish oil serves almost like a baby aspirin
Mhm.
in that it does sort of thin the blood a little bit? And so if right before surgery is the biggest time when I tell
Oh,
people,
absolutely
like,
not. Yeah,
stop your
not
fish
before
oil right before surgery
surgery.
because it's going to make you potentially bleed a little bit more. I
Mhm.
have so many patients through the years that are forgotten and they're fine.
Yeah.
Like this isn't a huge
But
deal,
your
but it's
surgeon's always
nice.
going to tell you to stop all
And
supplements
I'll tell
before
you, I have a
surgery.
patient or 2 right now that is taking Coumadin, which is a blood thinner. And I do find that when they take their fish oil, their Coumadin levels have to change a smidge.
Yeah.
But once we found that nice even in between, they do the fish oil and the Coumadin beautifully. You just have to be real careful when they're onboarding a new anti or blood thinner,
You need
that
to
you're
check
careful with
programs
your
very
fish oil.
closely,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. Those are really the only two places. And then for me, for kids, because I know you guys are going to ask me that, I really think the kids should be doing fish oil even from when they're young. It was really cool. There's a supplement that we have that we use more for anxiety and adrenal fatigue called phosphatidylserine. We love phosphatidylserine
Oh,
in our
yes,
office.
so good.
But there was at one point in time a prescription medicine that came out with fish oil and phosphatidylserine.
Hmm.
And so I always joke with my patients and ask them, like, do you think it was for depression, anxiety, or ADHD? And it was actually FDA approved it for ADHD. And because remember, fish oil they reduce inflammation in the brain, and young children have a lot of inflammation in the brain.
And what about pregnant people? They should be
Oh
taking
yeah,
fish oil,
pregnant people
right?
for sure, because the fetus's brain starts to develop straight away. And so these fish oil are a huge part of what we want our pregnant women to take. And so, yeah, that's a really
Really
important thing.
important.
And so, okay, creatine.
Creatine. Oh, yes. I personally love it. I don't know.
I'm still
She's still on the
doubtful.
fence about it.
This is where, so here's the reason why is, I've been doing this for a long time, and I'm a blood work heavy girl. And so forever, I've had kids that have come in that have been taking creatine, and every single time what I find is that their kidney functions are affected. Of course, this is creatine, and one of the kidney enzymes that we look at is called creatinine. And there is a 1-to-1 correlation between creatine and creatinine. And when that creatinine is elevated, it looks to me like the filter that the kidney is, those numbers that we use to assess it go down. And so for years, I've been saying creatine affects the kidneys in a bad way. You cannot take that stuff, right? So I've never given it a go. And so, but these days it is all the rage and all the trend.
Well, and we find too that if you stop your creatine like 3 days before you have your blood work done, you will not see that change on your blood work. So your kidneys are actually working okay. It's just that the creatine is elevating your creatinine on your lab tests. So we actually will even check a more specific blood test for your kidney function just to make sure that there's been no change.
And it's called a
it's a
cystatin C.
and that one usually does not change either.
And that was the study that I recently read, probably only about 4 months ago, was the first time that I was like, okay, maybe there's some truth to that. And so because that study did look at cystatin C, because my thing was, what if it is affecting the kidneys and then just you're not taking it 3 days before, so then your kidneys have the chance to recover? Like, where is their long term? I am hard to please, you guys. Like, I want to like see that. But the study that we read about cystatin C, that was really, really good evidence. And so we actually, for the first time, like I actually approved us to carry a creatine product here. And so there are two creatines that we probably would recommend for you. The creatine that we're going to be carrying here is made by a company called Orthomolecular, or something called CreaPure.
Well, some creatines will have CreaPure in it. It's just a more pure form of creatine monohydrate. It's the way that the extraction is performed, it guarantees that it's 99.9% pure. So the Momentous brand that you see shown here is actually the one that the Olympic, athletes use, and it's, certified to be used in those kind of events. But actually really good. It's going to give your muscles energy. It's going to give your muscles ATP to build themselves.
And they're actually now even showing that it can cross the blood-brain barrier and actually even help the mitochondria in your brain. This was a hard one for me to swallow because I've been anti-creatine for so long. So it's interesting. I have not yet tried it. And so, but I will. Okay, you guys, but here's the big thing. If you're not exercising, creatine is not going to be effective for you. Creatine is meant to really enhance your exercise, specifically that strength building exercise. So this isn't one of those things that you can just be like, oh, I don't want to exercise.
Yeah, it's not going to build muscle for you.
It's not going to do anything for you, and you're going to waste a lot of money. But if you are really into muscle building, I think that as long as you're using a very good creatine, I'm going to come around a little bit. So for those of my patients that are listening, I'm coming around. It's going to take me a little bit longer to go all the way in. So I think that Dr. Angela is a love it. I'm going to be like, I'm going from the leave it to love it phase. So I'm probably here still.
I will warn people, when you do start creatine, you want to watch for GI side effects. Like loose stool would probably be the one thing. And in that case, I tell people start a little bit lower. Usually they'll come in like 5 grams would be a normal dose. You might start at 2, you might start at 3, you might split the dose, take one dose in the morning, one in the afternoon, especially if you're going to the higher levels, 10 milligrams or 10 grams, I'm sorry, is where you're going to see some of the cognitive benefit. I always split that 5 and 5 because I feel like you will have a better outcome with that.
So you're gonna
And
take it twice a day.
do twice a day, and you would need to drink a lot of water. But of course, you should be doing that anyway.
Anyways, yeah. That's a definite. So, okay. So let's talk a little bit about, okay, so we're talking about longevity and muscle mass. Dr. Angela, we didn't put it on here, but NAD.
NAD, yes.
What do you think?
I like NAD. I think it's going to enhance your mitochondrial function. It's going to give you more energy. It's going to help you cognitively.
What's interesting about NAD, you guys, is there's not a lot of evidence.
There's not a lot of
that
evidence
can really go back and show me that yes, when you do this supplement, this is what it's making a difference in. What I found in all the years is I have yet to find an oral NAD or an oral NMR, which is the precursor to NAD, that makes any difference whatsoever. But infused NAD or even injectable NAD, I think has shown a pretty dramatic improvement in how my patients feel. And so that's where we are. So guys, NAD is basically required for your mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of your cell, to make energy at the cellular level. So this isn't like cortisol energy or iron energy or thyroid energy. This is like literally every cell. And when you think about energy, it's every cell doing the job that it's meant to do. So if you're thinking about your brain, that energy is more cognition and you know what I mean? If you're thinking about your muscles, it's a little bit more just strength and things like that. And so, but NAD, so we now have NAD infusions. How was NAD first discovered?
I think it was studied in addiction. So they were using it on people with alcohol addiction, and they would find that they would have reduced cravings and they didn't want alcohol anymore after they did
my
it.
interpretation of that is that it's reducing inflammation in the brain. It's reduces neuroinflammation, and I am fascinated by neuroinflammation. And I'm finding that, you know, right now one of the reasons why we started to do NAD IV infusions is because as we are getting people coming off of our wait list, what we're finding is more and more and more patients that have post-COVID fatigue.
Oh, yes.
That like, so
good
it's
for
not
COVID.
even fatigue. It's like that post-COVID syndrome where they can't think straight. They have no stamina, but it's mental stamina. And, you know, all of the things that we normally do are making a difference, but that is the punch. And so I'm finding, Dr. Angela, that it's post-mold exposure, post-COVID exposure, post-Epstein-Barr virus exposure. These are all things that I'm sure post-Lyme, we just don't see a lot of Lyme patients in our office. And so, but these are the people that have a lot of neuroinflammation. And we think that the mitochondria in their brain are being sort of just worn down.
I know you listen to the Huberman podcast all the time. I don't know if you heard the one about NAD that he did. So Andrew Huberman is real popular in the longevity space, and he had COVID. He did a COVID test and he was feeling not so great. He did an NAD infusion, and the next day he took his COVID test and it had already turned negative. I don't know. That's very anecdotal evidence, but he says it's the one thing that brought him out of COVID and made him feel good.
Let's talk about this. What do you do right before you're going to get sick? Do you have anything that you love?
Love our sick day IVs and our Be Immune IVs.
Yep. So our sick day special is IV ozone and a Be Immune IV blended together. And so tell me about your IV ozone.
Let me tell you about my experience. So I was here, it was a Thursday morning. I was leaving for fall break with my family the very next day to go to New York. And it was 10 a.m. and I started to get the tickle in my throat. I started to get kind of sweaty. I knew a fever was brewing. I threw on a mask and Samantha ran to get me a sick day IV. So we did the ozone and we followed it up with the vitamin C, zinc, and glutathione. The next day, I was able to get on the plane. I won't say that I felt amazing. I just felt about the same, no fever, but still a little scratchy throat. I was also taking my Viracid and my Immune Active. By the next day, I was running around New York City, 25,000 steps in one day. The rest of my family could not catch up with me. They actually ended up getting sick. probably gave it to them. I'm so sorry. But I felt amazing. And I will from this day, the second I feel that little tickle, I'm getting a sick day. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, our IVs, specifically the IV ozone and the 6-day special, have really changed like sort of how we're treating illness. I feel like these days I'm getting either an IV ozone and a B hydrated or an IV ozone and a B immune. The IV ozone and the B immune is IV ozone with zinc, glutathione, and vitamin C. So we're calling it B immune. And then our IV B hydrated is more B vitamins, minerals, and vitamin C. So both of them are really good, but I'm doing them before I go on vacation. I'm doing them as soon as I feel like sick or a little bit tickled. And I've been doing them before I'm doing a big. It has given me so much.
Energy.
It's almost like it's vitality is I think what it is. And I haven't gotten sick and so they're huge. You guys haven't. Oh, Dr. Angela, the first time she did an IV ozone came back and said, I feel,
Oh,
what
I
did you
felt like
say?
I was effervescing and bubbling.
Bubbly.
I don't know. What do you think about doing IV or doing the ozone and then doing a Be Strong for those people who are
Yeah.
really trying to build muscle?
Ladies, I'm going to interrupt you a little bit. I have a few questions and we're running out of
I
time.
love that.
So, let me go back to NAD real quick. Somebody asked, is that only as needed? I'm going to answer and then you guys can add anything you want. So for NAD IV infusions, we recommend a series of 4, and spread those out once a week. And that way you really get the full benefit of NAD. But ladies, do you have any other thoughts on frequency and how to do
after
NAD?
that, you can come and get like a little boost
Yeah.
anytime that you
Like
want
once
to.
a month or
But if you're fighting like mitochondrial fatigue, that is not easy to combat. And so you really do need kind of that layered approach. And so we want you to do that. Now, if you're someone that is like us, that's feeling pretty darn good, like there's no, like we're not having a lot of fatigue, then I don't care if you come and try that, on occasion here or there. But if you have fatigue, we want you to do 4 for sure. And so, and what was the other question, Samantha?
That's it. We have more questions. So we're gonna rapid fire these because like I said, we're running out of time.
Yeah, but
Somebody asked
it's
about,
fantastic, you guys, because it's basically all of our IVs combined together with the amino acids that you need to be able to really build protein and muscle.
and that's one of the differences between our NAD plus IV and if you got NAD at another location is we always prep the body for the NAD by doing a Be Strong first. So you get a Be Strong and then the NAD, which really preps us and gets that NAD better absorbed. And that's included in the cost of the NAD. Somebody asked about flu shots. What is our official recommendation on flu shots? And if they do get a flu shot, should they stop any supplements before they get it done?
The CDC recommends annual flu and COVID vaccines. And I think you should probably ask your primary care provider.
I think, and I also think it's a personal decision. And I think you have to take into account your overall health to begin with. If you're someone who gets sick easily and if you've got lung disease, there's a variety of different things you have to kind of think about making that decision.
I will tell you this, I've not gotten a flu shot in a very, very long time. And so for me, I feel like my immune system can be boosted pretty well with taking my vitamin D, with eating well, moving well, sleeping well, and pooping well. And these viruses are mutating so quickly that I am not sure where my benefit would be to get last year's strain of virus kind of here. If you are going to do any kind of vaccine, though, we do really recommend that you give your liver good support. You can do something like a push catch protocol, but most of the time what I do is I have my patients do glutathione before and after. You can do that
which
as
is an
IV.
oral or
You can do
IV.
it as an IV, or you can even do an oral glutathione. We have it here. Glutathione is a kind of a master antioxidant because there are some other things in any vaccines that are not the best things for us, right? And so if we're going to put that into the system, then I want to give you something that's going to really be able to combat that. And also glutathione opens up the liver. So
And
that
I
you can
don't
really
think you
get
have to
that.
stop any supplements before you got
No.
your shot that I'm aware of.
I don't think so
Yeah.
either. Yeah. And so
Okay.
the vaccines that we really truly do recommend in our practice though are tetanus. And then once you're, for me, over the age of 62, shingles, because our patients step on nails and our patients get stressed out. And so those are the 2 ones that we actively really talk to you
I
guys
really
about.
like the pneumonia shot too for 65 and older, just because pneumonia is a really tough bug to kill. If you think about meningitis, it has a really thick capsule. So does the pneumococcal pneumonia bug. And so I've had people get really, really, really sick with healthy people get
Yeah.
really sick with pneumonia. So I
Yeah.
always recommend that one too.
After 65.
After 65.
Mhm.
It's an
Yeah.
older vaccine, so it's
Mhm.
not an mRNA vaccine. So
Okay, last question. What do you recommend for patients who have low blood sugar? More small meals, more protein? What are your recommendations?
So I guess I would want to know, are they eating? Because here's the thing, you guys, we're in this weight loss crazed world right now, where and then we're in this weight loss crazed world that's talking about intermittent fasting. I think that what sometimes patients hear when they hear that is don't eat. And that is absolutely not the case.
Mhm.
Is what we're wanting you to do is to stay nourished. Like staying nourished mind, body, and soul is will never be trendy. Like that is what we want our patients to be doing all the time. So why do you have low blood sugar? Like what's happening with you with that standpoint? I would tell patients to eat a really great breakfast in the morning.
Good protein,
Yeah.
protein.
And then make sure that they
Frequent.
are like maybe snacking throughout the day. And I think that we need to find out if there are a hyperthyroid issue going on. Like what's happening that someone is malnourished. Most of the time, what I end up seeing in my patient base is these are the same people that don't sleep well and they're just all about losing weight. And I think that they are the hardest patients for you to treat.
And a hypoglycemia diet in general is always going to be a lower carbohydrate diet
Yeah.
because you're not going to get the insulin glucose spikes like you want to be maintaining protein and fats and fiber and veggies regularly. I would not be ever doing a carbohydrate on an empty stomach by itself. That's
Yeah.
always going to tank your blood sugar.
Yeah, so if you can have a little bit of fat or protein along with the carbohydrate, then it's going to give you a little bit, and then especially if you can add fiber, like vegetables with it. So we've been using some continuous glucose monitors here and there as non-diabetics just to kind of see where it would be. And a few little hacks that we found over the years are if you have fat, protein, fiber, and then the carb, you have such great support that you never see the glucose spikes go up and down.
I always say never eat a naked carb. You always want to dress it with a protein or fat. You don't ever want to eat it by itself.
I found that I can have the same banana in the morning or at nighttime, and I have a higher glucose spike with the banana at nighttime than in the morning. So I do think that the timing of when you eat these things makes a difference. If you do have more refined starches or carbohydrates, if you can go and get a good, like it's not like a strolling walk, but like if you can like do a really good walk, that will blunt your sugar spike so you don't go up and down. What are some of the other cool things? Oh,
I think
biggest
you've done a really great job and we do have to wrap up. So I'll let you finish
one
your
thing,
thought.
you guys. Yeah, stress affected my blood sugar spikes just as much as sugar and carb. So remember, it is all about the full package. You have to eat well, sleep well, move well, poop well, and stress well. And those are probably our biggest things. Those are the ones that we love.
Yeah.
Okay. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you next time.
Awesome. Everybody, thanks so much for joining us. We will be back next Tuesday if you want to join us. And we look forward to seeing you there. Have a wonderful rest of your day.